if Adam was playing a sport and he was in the Olympics, or if he was even in a sport in swimming or running competition, if he was in a sport, we would all probably agree, and you guys can tell me what you think, but if he finished in first place, he's probably going to be the happiest, right? When you think? If he finished in second place, second happiest, right? Third place, third happiest. That's what logic would tell us. However, what if I told you this? What if I told you that first place and second place, they've been doing whatever they've been doing, whether we'll say swimming. So they've been doing competitive swimming for quite some time, 10 years. They have got to the point where they're trying to get to the Olympics, and so they're at that type of level. And so that's what the first and second place are. Third place, actually, though, after I tell you this, third place has been training for a while. I mean, he's an Olympic athlete, he's an Olympic-style person. However, he has only been going at it for about 3 or 4 years. Against the competition that he was up against, he knew that he probably didn't measure up to first place. So now that you guys have that reference point, I'll tell you that your logic would be wrong. You thinking that first and second and third place would be the second and third happiest is actually flip-flopped. Okay, anybody ever heard this? This goes around something called prospect theory. So in 1995, they actually did a study. They did a study of the Olympics, and they throughout that whole Olympics, they videotaped people coming up to the podium and getting their medals, and they actually interviewed these people afterwards as well. And what they found out was actually the people that ended up getting third place were happier than the people that got second place. Why? Why would that be? What do you think?
Second so close to first and they missed out.
Yeah, it's like, oh man, I was right there. I just was there, especially now that I told you the reference point where first and second were both kind of rivals. They both felt like they could be first or second. Now third place, why was he more happy than second?
Happy to be there.
Yeah, he was just happy to be on the podium, right? So has anybody in here kind of experienced that? I was at a Taekwondo tournament 2 weeks ago, and my son and I got third place in team forms, and there was a lot of competition, and I was kind of happy. I noticed I was kind of standing there bouncing around at third place. I was kind of excited about third place, which I'm not usually a third place guy. Okay? I'm usually a first place guy. If Larry was in the room, Larry, you guys know Larry Newman, one of the other trainers? If he was in the room, him and I like to jab each other back and forth. So I'd say, kind of the same type of thing. It all comes down to reference points, right? It comes down to how we referenced it. Third place, again, I was just happy to be on the podium. So if Larry and I were in school and we were both taking a test for chemistry and I get a B+, I'm pissed. Larry gets a D-, he's happy. He's happy to pass the class. I'm pissed because I was that close to a flippin' A. So we need to keep that in mind. So prospect theory is what we're talking about this morning. So prospect theory is a theory that came about by a guy named Danny Kahneman and Amos Tversky in, I think, 80s, right in the 80s. And they actually won a Nobel Peace Prize for this. And what the theory really tells us is this, that all things equal, people tend to prefer to avoid pain associated with losses rather than seek the pleasure from potential gains. So we are actually we derive 2 to 3 times more pain from some type of a loss than emotionally than we derive from that pleasure of getting that gain. So when all things are equal. So there's a couple examples. So a lot of this goes around something we call loss aversion. And so we're, again, more averse to loss than we are to gains. So a little example is if I found $50 on the ground and Mr. Adams Sr. found $50 on the ground, then we'd both be happy, right? We both found $50. Hey, it's $50 we didn't have. However, he goes on the boat and he starts gambling. He's up 100, and so now he's at 150. But then he loses it, and he's at 60 now. So he's got 60 total dollars. So he's gained $10 from where he was this morning. Me, that's only got my 50 and didn't gamble it. I'd venture to say he's more pissed off, right? He's more pissed off because he was up $100. He was up $100. Now he backed down. He's up 60, but he's running around pissed off about the loss of that, $90, right? He's pissed off about the loss of the $90. He's still got $10 more than me. He's got 60. He made $10 from betting, but he's probably, again, more pissed off. Why? Because he keeps thinking about that loss. He can't get it out of his head. And y'all are smiling because you all know this is something that's human nature and it all happens to all of us, right? A couple other examples, you can answer this yourself, just to kind of show you that this prospect theory comes around. Loss aversion, that's something we all have. Now some of us, interestingly enough, have we're more avoidance to risk, or we're more seeking of risk. But it's kind of interesting when we will seek out risk versus avoiding it. So if I said, hey, there's I give you $100, there's a 100% chance that I will give you $100. So I'll give you $100, you got it for sure guaranteed. Versus, we can flip a coin. If it's heads, you don't get anything, and if it's tails, you get 200. So in your minds, or just raise your hands, who's going with the first one? Who's going with the guarantee? Raise your hand if you're going with the guarantee. Okay. And then raise your hand if you're going with the gamble. Okay. So it's a little bit split. Now, if we went the other way, and you had a guaranteed loss, so I said, hey, you're going to lose 100 no matter what. Or we can flip the coin. If it's heads, you lose nothing. If it's tails, though, you lose 200. How many are going with the first one now? Okay, just one. And then how many are going with the second? Usually a lot more. So interesting to see how you stack up against everyone. So the majority of people, when they're given with just flat out being able to take something home in the game, they're keeping the game because they don't want the loss. They don't want that sting of going, damn it, I had $100. I flipped that coin to try to get 2, and now I got nothing. So most people will avoid gambling in that situation. However, it's interesting when we're down. So this is why gamblers get screwed, right? When you're down, you're going for it. You're like, shit, burn the house down. What? I'm coming home with money, or I'm coming home with nothing, right? The heck with the mortgage. So just kind of interesting, right? So it's something to chew on a little bit. But now that we've talked about that, let's just kind of summarize it. Being wrong as humans just hurts us more than feeling right or feeling good makes us feel right about ourselves. So here's the question: how can we use this in sales? Now, most of the time when somebody gets out of a car, I've seen, not always, not here, but I see at some stores when they get out of the car, right away, hey, thinking about getting a new Camaro, hey, thinking about a new Charger. You start pandering right to the vehicle. You start going into sell mode right away. Let me tell you about the benefits. Let me tell you, I know how to do a feature advantage benefit. Good for you. That's awesome, and you should do one. We should learn them. I want you to learn them. We practice them in class so you guys get better at them. However, instead of if we went and we kept trying to think about pointing out the benefits of the car to them, what if we had them, or we asked some questions or found some ways for them to start telling us some of the reasons why they're there and some of the pain that they're experiencing with their current vehicle? What if we could center things around a little bit more on the pains that these customers have? What are some of the things that we could try to bring out to them that would allow us to be able to say, hey, this is something that rather than get back in your old vehicle, here's the pain that you have with your old vehicle. Right now it's too small of a vehicle. I mean, we have 3 different types of pains. And we've got this first pain, which is a surface pain. We all know the surface pain. Surface pain is when we cut our hand. If we get in a wreck, our car is messed up and we're messed up. We've got financial pain. If we get into a wreck and we have insurance issues and we're going to have, after 5 days, to pay money out of our own pocket, we have for our rental car, we've got some financial pain going on here. But the one we want to start tapping in is the personal pain. Okay, so what's personal pain? What do you guys think? What are some personal pains that people have when it comes to car sales? What are some personal pains that, or just in general, what are some personal pains we have?
You talking about like the size of the vehicle? That kind of
Well, that, or just even personal pains in general. But yes, inconvenience. A personal pain in life would be we're inconvenienced. So the size of the vehicle could be a big inconvenience, right? We've got ego issues, types of pain. We've got ego and status issues, right? So for instance, I got to keep up with the Joneses, okay? Right? You got to keep up with the Joneses. You want the nicer, I'm a fancy guy. I can't be driving around a crappy car. So we've got that pain there. So we need to start tapping into that. Also, I think we've got, you've got in there influence, you've got different influences. So we need to tap into that personal pain a little bit. So here's what I want to do. What I want to do is I want to pair up. So let's have just who you're next to. So whoever you're next to, pair up. And what I want to do is this. I want you guys to think about how we can find our customers' pain points. So I want you to talk amongst both of you. what could you do in general to find the customer's pain points? Is it urgency that we could talk about? What are some things we could do? What are some questions we could ask our guests to try to find some of their pain points? And then how do you use them to help you move forward in the sale? Okay. I'm talking about personal pain, talking about pain points, it's obvious for us to be able to find these pain points of the guests when they have no car and they've got to drive a car. Hey, I got no car, I'm in special finance, I got no car, I just got a job. I lost my job prior because I didn't have a car. So if I don't have a car, I can't keep my job. We got some, they got to get a car. We see that pain, we see that urgency. So we know that we feel as a salesperson, hey, I'm going to hang tight with this one, I can lock this thing down. However, there's the one, and I used to sleep on this, and I still will if I don't think like this. And that is, you've got this guy, he comes in, he's 22, 23 years old, and he buys this Charger. He buys a more basic Charger. He wanted the one with all the big engines and all the toys and all the performance, but he couldn't do that at that particular time financially. 3 years later, he gets a small bump at work, so he's making a little bit more money, so he comes to trade this vehicle in. It's only got, we'll say, 20,000 miles on it, so it's still got some factory warranty on it, and he's playing, of course, like any customer, he's trying to buy it for less than we're trying to sell it. Imagine that. And so he's telling us he'll only go up 50 bucks on payments. We're going to probably go up 150, 200 bucks on payments. We work it, but we feel like there's just, we're just kind of throwing darts at the wall and seeing if anything happens. What if we dug and we found out, because we're thinking he doesn't have a lot of pain, right? He just hops in the car, he's still got factory warranty, he's still got a Charger, it's somewhat similar to what he was looking at. But what if we found out that he was in a Charger club and he's being made fun of as the weenie of the Charger club because he's got that little engine and he can't hang with these guys, right? Right?
Yeah.
So think about that.
Is that why you bought the scat?
Now it comes out. Now it comes out.
David, why is that why you want the scat?
There's some extensions I've heard people say that we're trying to extend some things. So that's what we have. Don't sleep on that. Don't sleep on that emotional pain. Really, don't sleep on that because it's hard. And we all know we just went through some of how this pain aversion, this loss aversion things work. So what'd y'all come up with? What were some questions that the finance has always got the good questions because they push pain points all damn day long because they're selling peace of mind in there, right? Aren't they? What'd you guys put out?
Well, one of them was if it was going to be titled in both names because there could be a split up there too, so.
Okay. Could be a split up. Also want to figure out if maybe there's somebody who's in the back seat of the car. Good. What about you guys over here? What'd you guys come up with? I saw you.
Like, what don't you like about your current vehicle?
Yeah.
Why are you trading it in?
Yeah, I mean, the layup is, of course, that we're going to dig on that car and figure out, hey, why are you trading that vehicle in? There's a reason you're trading it in, right? What else? Do you have anything else that was?
Kind of use, it's more in line with that, to use like the feature advantage benefits to kind of press why the new car is so much better than the old car, why they're going to benefit from it.
Okay. Yeah, once you find the
Why it's
pain.
going to fix that pain
Yeah.
point.
What'd you guys come up with over here?
Is your vehicle overall cost effective?
Okay. Interesting one. Is our vehicle overall cost effective, right? Okay. Is there a follow-up then to that?
Always. Like, you find yourself paying too much money at
Yeah.
the pump. Is that something that you think about while you're at the pump or while you're buying?
Yeah, good.
And that's definitely a pain point.
It is definitely a pain point. I mean, it's a financial pain point. Also, it's inconvenience. Brian was going, what do you mean by personal? I mean, it's inconvenience, it's ego, it's status, it's those types of things. But yeah, inconvenience, just having to stop more often. That kind of stinks. What about you, Scott? What'd you guys come over there with the team management corner there?
How dependable is your current vehicle?
Okay. So how dependable is it? Yeah, I mean, if it's not very dependable at all, then obviously there's some pain points there we can keep there. Why do you say that? What makes it not dependable? And see, and that goes back to that reference point. Because my step-grandfather traded in a new Buick, he traded in, like new, he traded in a Buick Riviera every 3 years. He was that guy. He's not around anymore, God rest his soul, but he was that guy. And I could never convince him to leasing. He was just a hard-head construction guy. But every 3 years he traded in his Rivy. So to him, 38,000 miles, it was all used up. Right? To other people, 230,000 miles is barely broke in. So we need to figure out people's reference points, and there's only one way we can do that is to ask them. And that's the cool part. That's what makes it personal. That's what we can dig in. That's why digging into their personal pain is probably more important than the surface and the dollars. We can see those pretty easily. All right. So what did the team port here down in the Team Port come up with? What'd you guys come up with down here?
Like heated seats, if it's cold outside, they walk in, they're freezing. Why don't you have your heated seats on in the car and then touching on that theirs doesn't have it?
Yeah. Yeah, because you found out, you asked some questions. What about you, Brian?
We're on the same team.
Okay. So you made him look good. What about you guys over here? What'd you guys come up with, Jim? Isaiah.
Isaiah?
Come on, Isaiah. I know you can talk. It's first of the month in December, you know, I mean, you had to say something.
I guess like something simple, like just to find out what brings them into the market. Maybe they got into an accident or something, and find out what their wants are versus what their needs are, discover their worries and kind of comfort them, and then kind of find out what happened to their life.
You're spot on. I mean, the one that starts off, I always say there's certain questions that keep you out of the weeds early on. You know, who's the car for? How you guys going to be using it? What got you into the market? I mean, whether you got good credit or bad credit, those are good questions to ask, and they don't put me in a trick bag, right? You know, if I start asking about colors and things like that too early, I could box myself in. So, yeah, I mean, one of the more basic, broad questions, what was it that got you into the market? Well, I quit my job last Friday. I painted for this guy for the last 20 years. He's got a small team of 8 people. I got pissed off. I told him to go to hell. And now I need to come in here and get a truck today. He's got some pain. He can't do his job until he gets a truck. You know, we might find out, well, how are you getting the job done now? Well, I'm not. I don't have a truck. Well, how do you plan on getting the job done? Now, I'm going to call my friends that have ladders in their houses and try to do some residential stuff with my Ford Festiva. But before I move, you know, to doing stuff outdoors. So you're right on. What about you guys over here? Team Conklin. Yeah. Actually, you guys are the
I used a crane, so,
yeah, there you go.
I got, sometimes the right away, like in the meet and greet, what brought you in, that opens up, I don't have to ask, but the history, future, and like current, like if in the past, you got your 3 last cars free from your grandfather, and he's not here anymore, it's gonna be different in the future.
Yeah.
But worst versus best, just like the vehicle, the best car I ever had, the best salesman I ever had, why? Well, how did they get the payment so low? What did they do right? I wanna use that recipe going forward with the vehicle, and why did your cars be shipped?
I like it, yeah. I mean, how did you, in fact, so I've done this for a couple stores, and I was doing it over at the Sterling Ford store, and John Rashadi and I were talking about it, and that's kind of the one he was talking about. He said, I like to kind of find out how they bought their car last time. What's that?
He got that ship from me.
How did they find their vehicle? And he's right on. How did they buy their vehicle last time? And then, hey, how was that experience, right? What was the experience like? Why do you say that? And keep digging and digging. So I passed around some that I kind of came up with off the top of my head last night, because I figured we needed to, you know, you guys would come up with some good ones, but some of these are ones that you all have said, right? And that is, you know, hey, this one's, what's the biggest everyday challenge with your current vehicle causes you? What's the biggest everyday challenge your current vehicle causes you? Just a different way to ask that question. If you could, what would you change about your current vehicle? What's your current vehicle preventing you from doing, right? Is there any place or roads your current vehicle is keeping you from going on? And these are kind of follow-up questions, right? What is it you dislike about your vehicle? What's it keeping you from doing? Is there an activity your current vehicle keeps you from doing? I just said that. What will the newer vehicle do for you that the current vehicle is not, right? If you leave here today, what's going to happen, right? If you leave here today and don't get a car, that's another way to push the pain button a little bit too. If you leave here today and don't get a car, so what are you going to do next? What's the next move, right? You're gonna go do this all over again at another store and try to go do the same thing, right? That's pain in itself right there, just talking about coming through the process of purchasing a car for some people, right? You wanna go, unless you wanna go do this all over again. So it's something, you know, a lot of times when I get ready to do a payment close, a lot of you have heard me, I use this little phraseology when I lead into it almost every single time, just to kind of subtly do this. And that is, hey folks, you know what, if this is out of your budget and doesn't make sense for you guys, the last thing I'd want you to do is do something that didn't make sense. However, let's take a look at the figures again. Let's look at what you're getting for the money, because 2 things are for sure when you leave here today. You're going to be leaving here in a car, and you're going to be leaving here making a payment. Now, you're either going to be leaving here in a car you guys don't really like that much anymore, and a payment that you're okay with, or you're going to be leaving in a car you guys really like and a payment, not so crazy about. So let's talk about it a little bit. right? Bam, then I go into whatever clothes I'm gonna go into, but it kind of sets that stage to remind them and get the brain going, he's right. I mean, I got a payment either way.
Right.
You know, maybe I just go out of here in something that I actually like. So it just, I purposely say that so it kind of sets the stage for that, right? A couple others on here is, where we're going here. How did you buy your last vehicle? What was that experience like, right? Does your vehicle have any factory or extended warranty remaining on it, extended service agreement remaining on it? In the past, have you typically purchased new or used vehicles? How's that worked out for you? The person always purchases new, like my step-grandfather, you know, and how often do you do that? What's your trading cycle like? We kind of know that if he's got a factory warranty, he's got some pain, right? What equipment on your current vehicle isn't working properly? I just, you know, kind of put that. I mean, that's kind of a good trade question too when you're going in to ask about the trade. I mean, sometimes we don't get in the car and push the power locks or windows and those types of things, and we don't ask them. They don't tell. So it might be something to find out. Plus, if a person can't put their, you can still drive a car without your driver's window being able to go up and down, but boy, it's a pain, isn't it?